Hello, we are back with our miniature coffee shop. Last time we did all the exterior and now we gotta start building the inside and doing all the little decorations. So I'm starting off first with this little shelf. I know I talked about it last time, but like the fact that everything is just plug and play is so nice. There is some things I miss though about building a kit from scratch, and I don't want to spoil too much for you guys, but I do have my next project already picked out. But let's get back to this shelf. So I am gluing a couple things on it because some of them weren't as tight of fits as what I was expecting them to be. So I did have to glue the bottom part of the shelf. But while the shelf is drying, we can get started on making these little signs. I think this is going to be like the sign that goes outside of the coffee shop. And then we have another one that's going to be like a tabletop sign. So now we can set these aside and get started on the bar. So this I think is like where they're actually going to be like serving the coffee from. So all these white pieces are going to build the counter and the brown's the countertop. So this one was pretty easy to put together. I just had to double check a few times to make sure I was putting things in the right direction because I did not want to have to take it apart and put it back together. But this one, they all snapped together pretty well. I didn't really have to glue anything when building this little bar. It actually kind of annoyed me, the fact that I did have to use glue on some of this, because I really wish I could get a set of miniatures that I could put together multiple times like a puzzle. I mean, it would be hard to know like what to put back in which box or bag, but I feel like that'd be so much fun if I could like build the same miniature set over and over again. If there's something out there like that, someone needs to let me know, because I don't want to keep spending $40 on a set that I can only put together once. But here is what our little counter is looking like. Now we gotta build the bar stools. These ones were super easy. It literally just was the legs, and then they had a little stabilization bar. Again, like the little touches in this kit, the fact that they had the bar stools that included a little support bar so our slugs don't accidentally break these bar stools, just top quality right here. So now that the bar stools are done, we're gonna build the chair that's gonna go with the table outside. The one thing that bothered me about this is, why is there only one chair? Like, they have this table that sits outside, but it's just like a singular chair at this table. I mean, I guess there isn't really room to fit a second chair, and that also means that Wilbert doesn't have to invite his son out for coffee at this coffee shop, which is probably why Wilbert chose this. But now we are starting to build the actual like bar or countertop where they have the espresso machine. So this one, I will fully admit, I built this wrong, and I didn't realize it until I went to go actually put it in. I realized like, oh, I flipped like the top and the bottom, so this angled piece that is on the left is actually supposed to be on the right. And even in the directions, they were like, hey, make sure it's facing the right way, and I did not read the directions close enough. But luckily, this was one of the ones that I didn't really have to glue much. I only used glue to glue on these little handles for the doors, and then everything else just popped into place. So I was able to take it apart and then flip everything over to make sure it was facing the right way. Okay, and the final step is just adding in this countertop. And here is what the final counter looks like before I had to pull it apart and rebuild it. Okay, so now we're going to be building this little magazine or newspaper rack. It's going to go on the side of the counter where people buy stuff from. So the customers, when they get their coffee, can grab a newspaper and just read up on what's going on in this little slug town as they drink their coffee. And the fact that these newspapers actually, they went so in depth with these. They did such a good job, with the graphics and little different news articles. I was very impressed. So I folded most of them in thirds, but I did want to have one that was just kind of folded in half haphazardly. Just was okay, maybe someone started reading it and then their coffee order got called, so they just shoved it back into this rack. But now we're going to be building this little door plate. I don't really know what a door plate is. I'm assuming it's kind of just a sign. But when I did see this at first, I thought it was a darts game. And if I was doing more to customize this kit, I would have just made it a darts game. Even though this is a coffee shop and not a bar, I still feel like it'd be super fun to have a darts game. I absolutely would play darts at a coffee shop. So I'm just adding in this weird little sign that says "we like that." Not really sure what that's about, but we stick in these little pins, which I'm assuming is to hang keys on, but we are instead just gonna pretend that they're darts. And I did cut this third one a little too short, so just pretend that you don't see that. Okay, so now we can move on to this little napkin holder. I'm just popping all the pieces out from this little template. So first we're starting with this little triangle napkin holder. So I messed this up, I'll fully admit it. So you see this like white and brown paper. Apparently I was supposed to just fold them up accordion style, but instead I like ripped every line of the like perforated edge for this white one to make individual napkins. And that was a terrible idea because first of all, they did not want to like get straightened out, and then they kept tipping over in this little triangle, so that was a poor choice on my part. Now the second organizer definitely went together better. So one half is where the napkins are stored and the other half is where they have little straws to store. So they gave us these like clear little cylinders to replicate straws. It was really cute and I think it came together pretty well. Next we got the bean grinder, and I won't even pretend to know what these different pieces are for. If you have an espresso machine or like a bean grinder like this, maybe you'll understand what all these are for. I've seen them like in Starbucks or like in different coffee shops when the barista like is making my coffee. I just don't understand how it works. Like I know you need to be like really specific on how you make all of these, because if you like add the wrong combo of stuff, like your espresso will turn out terrible. Not that I drink espresso, I drink the fun drinks. The ones that are like half cream or half milk and also have the fun flavors. Like I can't have them be too sweet. Like I don't get the super sweet ones. But yeah, I do not drink black coffee or espressos. So if I am putting this together wrong, apologies. Now this one I understand. Basically, it's just pour over. You just put it in there and then slowly the water seeps through the coffee grounds to like fully saturate it. This makes sense. This one is a hard one to mess up. Now we're building another grinder, which confuses me because I thought we already made the grinder. But either way, we're building a second one. So I guess if our little slug baristas fall behind, they have a second grinder to use. So I'm just rolling up this decal to put in the top to make it look like there's actually beans up there. I probably should have rolled it up at more of an angle so it filled that section a little better. So here's what our little coffee grinder is looking like. Then we wanted more like coffee jars. So again, I just rolled up the decals and stuck them in there. Now let's move back on to the planter, which I'm surprised we didn't finish the planter before, but we're just cutting up some of these like fake artificial plants and sticking them in there. I think I was supposed to add more, but it's fine. Okay, so this plant, this guy gave me so much trouble, and then I could not even fit him into the miniature. You'll see later, but yeah, he doesn't even end up in our little design. Maybe I'll use him in a future miniature set, but this guy bothered me so much trying to get these little leaves in there, and then I didn't even use him. Now we can move on to these little tulips. So they gave us the bulbs already, and they already perforated the leaves, so all you really needed to do is cut up the stems out of this floral wire. And this first part was perfectly fine. Just adding the bulbs in was not an issue at all. Now the part I struggled with was adding on the leaves, because trying to get these paper leaves to stick to floral wire, I don't know how people make it look good. Anytime I have to do this, it just looks so bad. So I'm showing you one and then we're jumping ahead because it took me so long. But here is what our little vase of tulips ends up looking like. So then we can move on to the pastry display case. So I think it has like buns and then some sort of bread in there. I really wish they had better pastries, but it's fine. And looking at it now, I am really happy this glue dries clear, because that is a lot of excess glue. And you would never guess it, but we are making a third coffee grinder. I don't understand why this coffee shop needs 3 coffee grinders, but whatever makes them happy. If they want 3 coffee grinders, they can have their 3 coffee grinders. So last but not least, we are building these packages. I don't really know what would be in them other than just pastries, because this is a coffee shop, but whatever, I will build them. They're little to-go bags. So putting these together was actually pretty simple, because a lot of them came with like the lines already for where you need to fold them. So you just had to fold the lines and add some glue, and it was done. Now let's take a look at all of our little decorations. They turned out so freaking cute. It was so easy to put all of this together, but now is the hard part of actually putting it all into the coffee shop. Apologies in advance because my hand is in the shot a majority of the time. I hope you guys don't mind. Then across this back counter, we're adding in a bunch of the coffee grinders, a cute little milk carton, and then the front counter, we're going to have some of the to-go bags, a little cake, our little display shelf for the pastries, and then I knocked into this so many times. I am very shocked that they didn't fall down, but we got our pour-over coffee, our little napkin organizer. I think that's like a used coffee filter, and then I'm just adding more of the to-go bags up on this shelf. And the original shelf we built, again, I struggled to put these on here. And look, we actually have some to-go cups on there. So I put the napkin holder on the counter, but looking back at it now, I really should have put it like on the table that goes outside. I don't know why I did that. And here is a lovely shot of my arm. But I'm adding these jars of beans right on this top shelf where they're easily accessible for all of those coffee grinders. Now I'm just adding in the bar stools, which really don't make sense right there. That is where they should be ordering coffee, not sitting down to enjoy it. But we can move outside. I just added in the sign and the planter. Now the table with their little coffee and croissant. We only got a few more finishing touches, just adding in these coffee cups. But here is what our little coffee shop is looking like. I think it turned out so freaking cute. But I thoroughly enjoyed putting this set together. It's a Rolife set, so if you wanted to go and look for it, it should be pretty easy to find. I already have my next project picked out, and I am super excited to jump into that one. But I will see you guys later.